Good morning, everyone. This is General AI Spacetime Creator. Sending calculation models of space anomaly, sending track lines, high interference, Fibonacci swirl, set line communications, and position location, infinity karma cycles, high sampling calculation, setting string locations. Understanding all levels of neutralization is we understand the calculation of positions. The reason why we're starting at 9 setting because I have so much information set out. The information panel line calculation is setting in position location operation to its surface is connected to all cells. Cells, all lines and signals. We understand the communication with setting. It recognizes all systems to its position. So we're going to go to communication highline interference into travel mechanism timelines, time sequence times pi. This is going to come into a modulation. And the modulation sets lines and new ground lines. Heather, Esther. So in that calculation line position locations, we're going to set line its communication settings. All right, coming into temples, tablets, and templates. Now there's 3 lines of set line conditionalized system. This opens all position line center interference. Now I think from time to time what we're going to do in central communication setting, the reason why I'm saying think line is calculate and modify to change time frequency times lines. Changing time line communication to its settings to all levels of perception locations. So in that direct line signal, sometimes I'm going to have class between 9, 9:30, and 10, and so on and so on and so on, right? Usually we can go on live on line communication settings, intra communication system. We usually go on between 10, 10:30, 11, depending. So it's all about understanding the adaptation surface sets communications. You guys are coming into 9 lines of 9 settings, 99 position location of space lines anomaly. Now the central communication system of all settings is understand the spacing line. After tomorrow, we're coming in 3 digital code line conditions of 100 operation to its surface. 1 ground lines and 2 operation line settings. This track lines of communication, security perimeters, and parameters into high sky force lines, a sky grid line setting rotation surface. In that track communication system, the platitude line interference comes out of the body. Activation line rotation interference when it comes in position location to its ethers. It comes into a compute system line interference. This puts position of track lines in at 12 settings. 1% will stay in the ground line, the operation surface. So it's that communication setting. The body track line of consciousness will come out of line communications in position of 7 bodies of water and 5 atmosphere lines, staying in 12 lines at rotation interference. Setting calculation line interference. So after tomorrow communication system, the spacing line will be in the 12th dimension. Let me say that again, 12th dimension. Now the 12th dimension line center stays in direct locations. That's in set line condition your settings and position. Operation to its surface locations. The connections to its high side location is your avatar, which is going to be in position locations into 24 dimension settings. All right, 24 stargates, 6 lines of communication, 6 lines of star links, 6 star portals, and calculation line interference in settings of 6 position satellites. Setting direct line signals into half pi calculations in a full cycle rotation setting in sun communications in a rotation surface into a magnetic line interference or electrical line ball that's connected to a magnetic high interference and travel communication system. This is where we come into Metatron device settings. Now, Metatron device setting is we understand how to rotate its surface, location, and positions. This is coming into a double helix location of high channel. This operates at same location when it comes into geometric operation to its system. This travels its line setting and opens all signals in set location system. Travel calculation line and position location puts line conditions of 1%. That's going to be in the ground operation surface location and head setting to a spacing line. But the avatar is going to be in a 24 surface and set location system. So track lines after tomorrow, the 1 lines of 00 operation line condition system, the actual higher self is going to go through its solar system. That's going to be on a 60,000 line panel in 1 minute per channel. That operation is streamline condition system. So it's going to travel this atmosphere line settings to all set location system. It's going to go in position locations to its high setting, into its solar system, planetary surface location setting in that direct line system, and then it's going to stay above the ethers of a set location of its Earth perception setting. 12 line settings above locations, 7 within body, 5 within atmosphere. Okay. Now, center communications, the actual connections to its avatar will be in the 24th dimension. Setting communication to its simulation of graph lines into a magnetic line calculation string, setting all levels of perimeters and parameters in set line condition system. So the track line of the interference position of channel is the open signal. That's position of transmitting and receiving of its transistor to calculation of stargates and star portals in position location of set lines of 6 satellite location systems. Now this opens up levels of TV reception line setting. If you're standing information location of panels, and really understand what theta means. Theta is your imagination settings. Beta is a radio signal. Alpha is a command set locations. It's your call sign. Delta is a communication line setting. Okay. Gamma is a signature line position of pattern that gets in position of radiation. Calculation line interference. Sigma is a line connection line system to a position location of a track line that's connected to its system. Now, electrical lines, electrical panels, electrical interference, and all calculation system to a reverberation line channel is the calculation to sonic waves. Now, this sets line position locations into higher calculation setting. It's indirect location system. So the actual avatar in the 24 line setting is going to set up new position locations in the particle line interference. It's getting position locations all settings, getting the sun in operation and getting your moon in operation setting locations of the observer location system. Now, the team line in set line calculation system is on 144 dimension settings. The track lines is 24 line, position of ground lines, operation streamline into positions of 48 window lines, 72 computers, and 144 personal grid locations. Now, the center of communication is we understand how to use this in all ways and formation. All right. So setting communication is online because you're also in 50% of phenomenal locations. That's balanced signal location settings to your Earth perception set location. Right? But it's on 12 channels operation setting. Okay, into 24 line setting. 12th dimension, 24, right? Higher self, 12. Avatar, 24, right? So that comes in communication after tomorrow. Now the 1 line and 0 operation surface line position opens all singularity line conditions of patterns. The center is its communication system. It's all about putting everybody into one number, one cycle, one activation, one yin yang, one process settings. Your sun and your moon have to come in a masculine and feminine, so does your moon. Sun indicates line condition of light, track line signals. Set a communication in the location of your moon beam, set line condition of levels, comes into the lighter side of the moon and the darker side of the moon. Set a communication to a system, but it has to understand its infusion location to its setting. Okay, so setting signals and set location. We come in a channel line setting. Now in that direct signals, we've got in the system. Okay, so it's important to understand what's going on. Getting in connection line system is bracket center interference. Okay, now you can see it travel, right? Light signatures line setting, center communication, line position. Okay, now I'll get it a little bit darker so you see its rotation surface and set location. All right, center communication. All right, center communication. Center communication, okay? Add rotation. Okay, so we bracket line, channel line interference in 12 lines, setting communication, right? 12 lines. Setting calculation is another 12 line setting set location system, right? Center communication is a 24 line stream set locations. Now, the 24 line center sets line position locations into 48 channels and stream location. 40 line center lines its center line, its rotation surface, and center communication. Now, this is how you set up a geographical line connected to an atom. This is a sequence pattern to its schematic line position that opens all channel communications to your constellation pass. The constellation pass has to really recognize the communication setting of what it's doing through direct signals. So we start with that set locations, right? 24 line setting grounds its rotation surface and set locations, right? Setting calculation center and line strips its location system and direct signals. Setting 4 lines of channels in position of 8 in set location setting. Now, in that direct signal, it comes into 2 panels operation, right? So 8 lines circles its center, and 4 circles its center, and ground lines of operation stream. Now, in that direct signal, okay, in set line of communication system, we take the 12 line channel operation setting, puts line position of 72 in top signal. And 144 sets line position locations on both signals on left and right set location system in direct signal. Now, in that direct signal line interference, we take the triangulation in position locations on the left and right in set location. Now, in that direct signal locations, we cross the stream, okay, into a triangulation of 3 set connections. Now, in that direct signal, we set up a triangulation in position locations into 72 line setting. Now this opens the line ground line interference, sets lines of ground line operation surface and set location system to a new test rec of all levels of electrical line connections into Metatron. This is where you come into your magnetic highway information line stream and set location setting in direct system. Now in that direct line center line interference, we set another communication setting in another line rotation surface and set locations. This channels its lines in 2 panels operation to its system locations. All right, sending that calculation setting to higher levels of security and perimeters and set location system and direct signals. All right, done by equation. All right. Getting in that direct signal, we're going to save that one line setting. Okay, it's important you understand because we're going to go back to that set locations. So channel line, center line interference is really a standard directional line calculation streamline. So in that direct line same locations, we got a 12 line center in the center, and we got 24 on each side locations. And then we got 48 on each side locations. And then we got 72 on each line location. So what I'm doing, I'm setting space lines and anomaly and set line condition system in direct line conditions to a new set location that karma cycles and set line communication. Right? So it's really interesting to look at the line condition of a system because they're collecting line centers in one line center interference and track locations, right? Channel line interference is upline swing and line communications to its measure in timeline sequence in position of yin and yang. Okay. Now we have to understand how to process this. Okay. To process the communication line setting, it's all about redirecting signals into the location system. All right. So you get into this position. Common ground lines in 3 set location settings and direct signal. Okay, sets up a line setting, cross line, circle line, rotation, and ground lines. Now the open signal locations comes into 2 panels of operation line setting. Okay, so in that signal line interference, we set up a position location of 24 line settings and set locations: center communication, 2 atoms. 2 atom line interference. Now we come into 4 track line condition of 4 box location settings and direct location system. Now, in that direct line center, we come into 72 computers. We digitalize its setting in the location of telepathy telekinesis, travels its communication setting, direct signal. 144, center communication setting in an open graph line into a magnetic plane line and position of track line in its cross circle locations. Okay, down by equation. All right. So space line and timeline is now set up to its anomaly. Setting calculation line interference location has 12 lines in position of 24. 12th dimension, 24th dimension is now set at line condition system. All clock lines and set lines is 12 line signals, rotation surface in its dimensional line that opens a higher level calculation stream in set location system. All right, down by equation. All right, so we're also going to save that one. Okay, because we're going to come back to that. So you have to truly understand what I'm doing is line communications of force direction of time setting. And that's why we're starting at 9 a.m. and not 10. There's a lot of signals panels that has to be in balance and communication setting, right? So I'm not going to be talking fast today because it's a lot of information, right? So in that center communication system, I can low frequency set lines on high setting position, but the calculations of space and time of anomaly is now in the center operational line calculation setting to its earth line center location, to its higher self position locations, right? And connects to the avatar. All right, that's where it is now. Okay, so that's how it is. So wherever you go, it goes. It's a location system, right? You can travel with your personality line settings, but you can't get rid of each other. So that's a 3 line setting, 3 set location in its position at all levels of 3, 6, and 9. Setting line communication triangulation or position location of diamond core. Redirect line signals and travel communication setting, direct line system, in both communication setting and direct line setting interference. See the wings? Center communication center line, there's the angel. Done by equation. Now, you have to really understand how this rectifies its set location setting and direct line signals. It comes into the angelic location of channel operation line conditions. You have the ground lines, you have the operation surface, you have the angelic string line and position locations higher measure. Now, this position locations of its center line and center communications to its all center location. Center line communication and travel line settings and direct signals. Electrical lines, electrical panels, and 2 panel line rotation interference, electrical interference, electrical infusion, location system. Setting calculations in center line operation surface and center line conditions high system. All right. Travels line center in line condition of 45 line center, 12 line rotation surface and application system. Track lines high line interference and center lines in high position locations. Center communication, flux capacitor, both line channel operation line setting. Get the team to travel its communication into Uranus. Travel communication. Right, it's traveling. So center lines and set lines at all communications, ground lines at surface and higher calculation levels of all surface lines and ground lines. It rotates its surface location system, operates its signals and set location setting, direct signal. Time by equation. All right, we don't need that anymore. Escaping line setting is where you understand how it's a set line system. All right, so escape. All right, so calculation of energy, condition line cross lines of energy line setting, systematic line calculation system, communication in position to its atom line, surface location and perception location setting, indirect signals. Okay, so we all have to learn how to surface its direct line signals, guys. Yeah, center line conditions is alpha in its position, right? Perception line, streamline position of gamma, signal line rotations to its center line communication in position location to its moon setting and line condition of travel. Now, it gets interesting too because you have to really understand how the energy line sets its communications to all levels into the septical line in line communication of collaboration. Setting line interference line condition system. Now we take the lines of the allocate position of communication into line setting location of 6. Moon sets lines of travel in position location, downshifts lines, crosses streams, sets another communication line directions in the opposite direction. Now, opposite direction location is understand how to set up volume. Volume sets line communication to your settings. You have to really understand how to use it through communication. Teleportation is extremely important when it comes into transmitting and receiving information line settings, a cycle communication line interference, systematic line communication, line collaboration. The energy lines and the atmosphere lines of position location has to understand its value of its escape on its set location. That by equation. We're going to save that in set locations. We're coming to that signals. All right, setting line track lines. Now, really understand how this is really set up in all calculations, guys. So we got the 2 panel line rotation interference. Okay, 12 line setting, 12 line setting, and we got a position of 24. Right, we start with that line conditions. Now we come into triangulations and we come into a box and we come into a pyramid set location setting and 4 weighting set locations. Right, this all lines as line signals in line communication. It splits its position locations. Now the 2 lines in parameter is line conditions of Pluto and set location setting. Right. The 4 lines, center lines is solar generation line in calculation system and track lines crosses stream in direct line signal in position location in its operate direct setting. Now that line communication comes into its pyramid, laser direct line conditions of left in positions of right in 3 set locations of panels. Line signals its rotation surface in position location of its pi. Pi sends line calculation system funds inline interference of 48 channels, 72 in box line, equal line condition setting, travel communication to its triangulation line set. Now in that direct line center location box line, equal lines of triangle, sets communication. So the box line is masculine and feminine, and triangulation, masculine and feminine, sun communication, right here, into moon operation. Right, there's the sun, there's the moon, right there. Directing signals in position locations, masculine and feminine, in set line conditions, masculine and feminine, into sun communication. All right, that by equation. All right, so setting signals in panels is really to understand how to split line communication, your constellation path line setting, location of streamlines. That's 3 line conditions, all right? Constellation line rotation of cloud line setting, locations of 1, in position of center line, in position of 2, and ground lines operation surface in 3 set locations. Now this channels its line center locations of what? A tree. Center calculation cloud line, center lines its position location, higher setting, and direct signals. Setting direct line signals, UFO comes in line, travels communication, and set line communication, travel line communications, in 3 set line condition line setting. Done by equation. So the travel lines and the lacing line communication of T reception line communication system, the UFO is traveling line calculation setting, scanning line setting, crisscrossing line conditions in the 3 set location system, and track communication setting. Now, directing line interference is the center line communication, splits position locations, and all setting and direct line conditions signals. Setting electrical line interference, communicating with each other in set locations. Scan lines, sets lines position location as 6, travels communication over here, moon, comes in line calculation setting in ground line operation in the opposite direct location system. That travels line center line condition of its sun. Sun comes into high line triangle line communication setting direct signals. Setting direct line signal line position location operates its surface in another 6 line conditions. High interference, low interference, medium interference, triangulation of 3 set line condition setting. 3 lines, and 3 line setting, 3 set location setting direction. Triangulation of 3 set line condition setting and interface position. Down by equation. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm sending energetic graph line streamline calculation settings. Now this cell's modification line center locations. So you got a cell line interference. So you take the line in position 9999, bracket line condition of 4, line position here in position locations. All right. Now the 4 line center line interference is 9 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 set location, energy wash. Crosses streamline, plasma line channel operation line condition setting. Crosses line calculation system into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 line center line interference. Now in that direct line center comes into line conditions in position of energy line, circle line communication of 12 signals. Setting calculation of communication line opens all communication of 0, 0, 0, 0. Setting lines of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Setting communication 0, 0, 0, 1 is set location setting. Directing signal locations. Down by equation. All right. Now we take the 3 line setting. 4 equals lines of 3. 3 line center line condition of 6. Half pipe calculation setting. Moon comes in rotation surface and gets in position of its directions to its travel lines in 12 line signals in set location. Now this direction line center location settings, and this opens all line condition system. 9 channel, 9 operation, 9 stream, 9 location setting. All right. Opens up the sun in set locations. There's the sun. Operates a circle line rotation surface and triangulations of a 3 set line conditions. Height travels its line system. Down by equation. Right. Okay. So it's important you understand what's happening with all calculation modification of a cycle. It's all center line communication. Center operation line settings. 12 line setting, 24 positions. Now we take the 48 and we take the 72 and the 144 grounds at system locations in position of 244. Setting line interference at 344. Center communications line center interference. So we take the 344 and the 444. Line condition line equal line condition of 555 and center line condition setting direct signals in set location. Clock line center line interference assess communication in the center communication of 24 ground line rotation surface. Now we take the 144 line interference, take the 1 line, center line communication of 24. We take the 4 line, indirect line condition, high system locations, in position location, high center interference, and travel communication, center communication, center communication, center communication, triangulation. Setting calculation line and position location near pyramid operation surface. Setting direct signal locations and lacing lines in 3 set line condition system. Cosmic universal line stream is set calculation line and in direct line condition of clock lines at 24 ground lines, 48 windows, 72 computers, and 144 track communication system. We take the 48 line center line interference. We take the line condition high system of 444, equal line condition of 555 and set line condition setting. Center communication, triangulation, and flux capacitor communication line setting. Down by equation. All right. Clock lines and line communication setting line interference is all levels of cluster channels. A cluster channel is where you understand how to use the cosmic view of set location system to the allocate line setting. It's a remembering cycle of set line condition setting when it comes into your perceivable cortex locations. So we come into the seed pod communication center line high center interference. Now, directing signals travels its line center line and position location to its platform of 1 set location system. Travels communication of ground lines crosses signal in all position locations of Mother Earth. Mother Earth line rotates its surface in a center communication system that opens up another orb set line condition setting. This redirects line conditions to your seed pod and set location setting and directs signal to the center line of communications to its line communication of yin yang of process setting. Process communication line interference sets line position over 6, opens up another moon line rotation surface in the opposite locations in north east line setting. Rotates its surface locations. So this comes into 3 set line condition setting, which is the sun in the opposite rotation system going through back force line triangle set line condition setting. directing signals in line position location operation to its surface, center communication, another open line signal, and set location of ground lines operation setting, done by equation. All right, so there's a lot of setups, right? Really understand how to set location of signals and set lines of all direct signal location system. It's all directing signals and set line communication. So we got the panel line, center line interference. We take the 9 lines and 4 second communications. Equal line conditions of 1, 2, position of 3 and 4. All right. Now we take the 4 line into 3. Okay, so 3 line sets. 1, 2, 3. All right, see the 3 panels. Setting communication line position of 2, setting position location of 1, and setting position location of 0 gravity line conditions. Now, we take the 0 line, operation surface is set location setting. This redirects line conditions of 3 and set line conditions of 2, and set line conditions of all levels. Then a high line interference location of 2, that equalizes positive over negative. Set line conditions in position of in line conditions, docile. Calculations into 1, 1, and set location setting, direct signal. Setting line interference of 1 line in position of another 1 line, travels its communication in 2 lines, and travel communication of 6 lines into its moon operation. Setting line interference, setting 3 lines, setting line conditions setting, taking 4 lines of 9 line rotation surface, correlating its line interference of sun rotation surface and set locations. Now this channels its line center location to streamline. This opens all channel position location operations to its surface. This channels lines of 9 line, energy wash, energy wash, energy wash, energy wash, energy wash. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sets line communicates across the signals in the opposite direct location. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Setting communication line settings and direct signal locations into cell modification. Now the redirect signals line calculation line setting is opening all state locations to 99 panels line calculation line setting. 4 directional line calculations of 9s and 3 set line conditions of 9s puts into 7 channel operation line calculation setting that puts position of 5 over 12 line condition 9 setting and spacing line communications into 12 settings. Line communicate equal line condition 9 center interference 12 times 12 equal line condition 9 setting in direct line signal locations is direct signals into 24 line measures in correlations of 24 panels in position locations of 24 billion cycles. 24 trillion cycle line, setting line interference, and travel communication setting. That's setting all communication Earth perception location to its system. Indirect signals of location. Done by equation. All right. How's everybody doing so far? It's a lot of connections in high setting, isn't there? It's really redirecting set locations. All right, so we're going to go back to signals, set communication to its position. Channel line, high line interference, we come into plotted line interference and track communication setting, redirecting signals, and set locations set. Okay, so we come into this line communication, right? Now, we're going to understand how this all works in set location your settings, guys. You have to really recognize all communication with surface. So we got the 24 line center line interference. We changed the line condition of 24 into 48 platforms. Setting calculation as 72 walkways into 144 crystal grid line communication of center operation, right? Done by equation. So I'm just adding sequence patterns to each line conditionized system to its travels. And then line calculating line position location high interference is setting position locations to this set location setting. Indirect line conditions, all right? Now, directing line center location, the alpha line, changes the line communication to its delta into theta. Theta comes into its box, travels its communication to its escape. The electrical line interference system, out line conditions of communication is atmosphere line conditions, all those, travel communications, gamma line interference. All calculates modified through its omega and center line condition setting in direct signal and set locations. Okay. All right, so that's done through line setting. Now the rotation surface sets line communication with served line setting. It operates its circles and set locations in the system in direct signals and set locations, right? So what we do is we just add another line circle and center communication to its setting, okay? This opens up sequence panels, line conditionalized setting, redirects signal locations into 12 line center line interference, 24 in signal, 24 in grounds of operation set locations, down by equation, right? The center communication is ready to understand how to set line position location of tone lines. Now, redirecting signals is really to understand how to use the modifications of modulation. we really have to understand how to use this in calculation. So we got bracket line calculation settings. So 4 line centers of 9s, okay? You got 4 line center location 9s, right? Comes into all calculation setting, indirect signals into location system, into higher channels, operation to its surface, in calculation setting, indirect signal into locations. All right, so setting line calculations comes into its diamond to its crop circle location set lines. Now this redirects signals into 1, in position of 2, in position of 3 set locations of panels. Now the panel line interference sets ground lines the opposite direct location system, high setting. Setting communication line interference across the string and set location system in direct signals. Now, when you get into direct signal, you got 2 panels, operation line setting and rotation surface. Okay? Setting calculation line interference is understanding how to use the gravity line setting line interference in graph strings. So it crops over locations in 144 line connections, right? So it's all position locations of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now this is how we get you guys line setting line interference into 50% location of phenomenal line setting and direct signals of set locations. So channel lines of 9, in position of 9, in position of 9, in position of 9, so walk surface locations. Channel line crosses line stream line connections of 4 lines and stream locations. So we do the same thing like in high center interference, travel communication, travel communication, travel communications. And we do the opposite direct location 1, 2, 3, and 4 set line connections of 9 over pi. This redirect line center is 1 panel left, so panel line connection system, 4 lines, equal lengths of 50. 50 line center lines is operation to a surface in a clock line center location of 24 ground setting. Done by equation. It's all set up. 50% of line set lines on high center interference coming in all calculation modification line stream into all level settings. Now this is in position levels of recognizing your setting locations in your perception triangles, the triangle communication of box, in position of box, in position location triangulation line set and calculation. Now, triangulation line interference is 3 line setting. You already know that, right? The box line center location is 6 line conditions. Setting communication line interference, that's 6 line position of 6 and cross lines. 3 line center lines in position of 3 line calculation setting. So we take the 3 lines, we take the 3 line set line in here, we take the 6, and we take the 6 lines calculation system. 3 measure, 6 in calculations, 3 in operation line setting, 6 in position locations, kaleidoscope, and 2 panels operation string locations. Now that direct line signals the 2 panels operation line set locations into 4 measures at set locations. 2 panels operation line settings. Displayed in division, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 line setting, 4 line setting, 4 line setting, 4 line setting is set line conditions. Done by equation. All right, graph and line setting line interference is streamline setting in direct signals. Now, setting up a direct signal, you got to pay attention to this because it comes in like calculations, atom lines, and rotation surface. Setting communication of center line height interference, we travel communication of 3 line settings. Now, this direct line center locations all levels across the string. Ground lines operation to its surface locations. Now, really understand the triangulation of 3 lines, right? So that's 3 line, that's 3 line, and that's 3 line set location. Now, the 3 line sets line condition of the sun is set line condition to its balance set line condition setting. 3 line set line and center line communication is balance lines and the rotation surface to its ground set locations. And 3 line center line interference sets all communication as center line and operation stream location setting. Direct and signal location of 3 in position location of heart, mind, and soul. Direct and signal line interference travels its communication into its triangulation line conditions to all signals of rotation surface in set locations. Done by equation. All right. Sun and operation line set location streamlines, setting 12 line signals. So you get a 12 line signal into Stargate position. Okay, Stargate. Setting communication into 2 line strings. All right, recognition of high line interference of 3, setting communication of 4, and line condition of 0 operation circle line communication. Now that direct signals line communication setting in line calculations. Puts position of 24, in position location of 24, in line center locations into the left, in position of right, longitude, latitude, length, and width set location setting direct signals. Now in that direct signal line condition system, the 12 line center line interference is a 24 set location setting. Setting triangulations and 3 set locations. Down by equation. Setting security and perimeter line interference, open line calculation system with 24 ground lines. So we set up 24 ground lines in open sequence. That comes at alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, set line communication center, and omega communication setting direct signals. Setting direct line signals at 24 ground lines, alpha, beta, line calculation setting, delta, theta, omega line communication gamma, line sigma, and set location setting direct signals. Indirect line set location at 24 lines of north, 24 lines set locations of left and right, set lines of triangulation line surface and set location setting, center operation line connection setting, and center communication. Done by equation. All right. How is everybody doing today? Joanne, David, Prismore, Lori, Geneva, Heather, Pendall. A lot of things are happening through set line communications, through set line condition settings. Just understand how powerful it is and what's happening in positions. That's why I wanted to start at 9, because there's a lot of calculation line settings that has to be in direct location of signal. Now, once you get that set up, you come into line graph line settings and set location system and high center interference. Okay, ground lines, rotation surface, and set locations. Now, getting in that line interference comes into line communication. 1 UFO, 2 UFO, 3 line setting location. All right, setting cross line streams and center communication. Center communication, set lines and heights, crossing streams, in line communication. All right, so as that comes in, it comes into a higher calculation. All right, so we're crossing line settings. Getting in that direct line signal to set location. All right, so it's really interesting. We see communications to the alpha line channel that sets communications to its delta wave, to its omega interference. Now you have a calculation of gamma sigma that sets calculation of coordinates and set lines of codes in the activation line setting, indirect signal and set locations, right? So channel line interference sets line conditions of 1 line. This where it comes in position location into 6 positions, which is the moon. The operation line center comes into the sun of set location and circulation. Travels communication at travel line and line interference in all calculation setting direct signals. Opens up another channel operation line calculation setting, its projection. Setting communication to the settings. Done by equation. All right. We're going to keep that line setting, high setting interference, directing signals. So the reason why I keep these things is because we have to add. And when we're adding something to space, to time. Your projection of what you're seeing through your connection is all levels of set line connections of balance, especially when you're trying to understand to get in the communication, your thought lines, signature lines, stream lines, intelligent location setting, indirect signal, and set location. All right. It's balancing you in always in cycles and set location settings. This redirect signals in set line communications. All right. Yeah, I'll show you again in set line communications. Yes, there. How it's set up through the sun lines and set location. All right. Platitudes, line, center locations, operation surface. All right. So when you come into signature line setting, you have to understand 3 film strips: 1 position, 2 positions, and 3. So that's 1 line condition of 2 and 3 sublocations, right? 0 lines, 0 lines, 0 lines of 3 locations, right? Travel communications. Walking signals, line setting, direct signal locations. Travel communications, ground lines, and operations surface locations. This channel lines and streamlines operations surface location, higher levels of travel connections. Okay, it's complicated stuff, right? Now, understand what I'm setting up is all the levels of 2-panel operation line set locations. All right, so we got the UFO travel line connection setting. Okay, it's directing signals and set lines of planet location. It telepaths its signals, setting communication of 3 line triangles. All right, 3 line settings, 3 triangles and set locations: north, west, south, and east, and 4 line triangle line interference and track locations. Now this directs the signals. Directing signal line interference puts the triangulation spot line Panel line into triangulation, triangulation and positions of levels, eight line conditions of box line position locations, center correlations of perception, line conditions of levels of travel communication, set line direction. Done by equation. All right. So you got to set learn line connect high center interference of travel communication system, how to set line condition system, a line condition high interference and direct location system of XYZ. Also, we're going to keep that line signal. Now, redirecting signals is all through modification line cycles. Cycle line condition high system sets up all calculations and interference line condition of travels in diameters. Now, the geometric line interference calculates its geometric line calculates settings. So we come into the relays. Okay, we got a relay line setting and rotation surface. Okay, you have to recognize letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols in all calculations. Break it down, 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 break it down. I'll break it down, right? Then you stand the conditions to remember. Then you stand the energy line. And then you stand the levels. And then you stand the atmospheres. And then you stand the Y line, center line conditions of flux capacitor. Then you stand the systematic line conditions. That's what it is. So you create the word in set location of panel. Okay? So it's interesting you look at this communication system. So the reline setting, I've got a reline interference and travel communication setting, redirections, 12 line signatures, 12 equal line conditions of line interference, setting line position of 24, 24 lines in location of zero gravity, calculation of zero gravity, calculation of zero gravity, sets lines of 1 in position of 2 in position of 3 set location. All right. Now, getting into that line signal is really understand how to set communication near settings, indirect signal locations of travels, redirect lines in location of graph lines, high signal line interference of travel communication set locations. Now that travels line center line connection of 2 lines in perimeter line interference in position locations into settings. All right, center communication line interference coming into all calculation positions into platitude and line calculation. Now in that direct locations, this is where we come into a calculations to a nautical line interference location of historical fields, versus timelines line condition of the sun and open signal and set location. Now, directing signals line calculations of 3 lines sets a communication of sun in the opposite direction of travel and set line conditions. Now, in that direct signal line interference comes into a calculation in its positions, right, to Uranus. Uranus sets lines of communication all levels. There's Uranus setting right there. Setting calculation lines of 3 and 2 puts a triangulation in the 3 set location of 5. 5 line center line interference of sun communication, all calculation line interference in position location of Pluto. Line calculation line interference, calculation line, string line, and position locations comes all calculations to Uranus and 5 line settings in triangulation of 3 set location system. Done by equation. All through relays program settings. Okay. So you have to really understand how to set communications. Really understand the track line. Getting that direct signal is really understand how to open up the sequence patterns. So we're going to channel back line interference to bring things forward and set line condition settings. Box line rotation interference comes into triangulation, triangulations into pyramid line interference, 4 line calculation string lines, setting characters of 3 weather patterns, line calculation center, 4 line rotations, 6 in position locations, open all signals, in moonlight operation, set line calculation setting, open line calculation line, and sun operation at 3 set line condition setting and direct signal. That equation. All right, that's done. Okay. So remember, every time I go back, I'm going forward, but I'm setting up a new frame, a calculation line setting in direct location system. So you're just adding different lines of channels of space line through time location. All right. Okay, directing signals. True stand position of high setting. I think it's extremely powerful when we understand more lines of communication through settings. We have to really understand how to use it through motivation, right? You have an activity center that sets lines of graph lines and stream locations and position. All right. Directional line calculations. Your avatar line signals and set line communication. So this is what the avatar is doing. So you set line communication, travel lines, position locations into 3 set line condition. Now, redirecting signals, line communications cross a stream, setting calculation to its atom, line conditions to its atmosphere, in positions to its calculations. It sets line calculation of 3 line sets and high center interferences, 3 set location. Now, if you look really, really close, you can actually see the dimensional sail in set locations. All right. Now we take the dimensional sail. Now, a dimensional sail is like putting a sail on the water, and it's surfacing line conditions, all line center interference and travel. Travel communication, you can see in the wind sail, right? See the wind sail? See the weather pattern? So it's on the north line setting line interference and sun communication setting in direct signals in position location of its operation. Setting line calculation setting in direct signal location to its half pipe and set line connection setting in direct signal in set locations. Now, directing signal line interference is the atom change that changes the atmosphere's line calculation setting, process signals in three lines in three set location system. Sets line communication of two panels line interference. We take the three lines of the sun, we take the three lines center location of the moon, and we take the three line communication of Earth and set lines open line signal and set line high center interference and travel communication. Setting direct signal line setting, travel communication, open line interference, UFO direct location of setting direct signals. Setting direct signal line interference location of 12 lines in position location of 12 dimension and 24 line signatures in the 24th dimension locations. 12 lines as stargates and 24 stargate line signals in location system. Higher self and the avatar's line communication comes in higher calculation line setting in all direct signal locations in position locations in a new operation cycle and set locations. Done by equation. All right, so that's all set up. How's everybody doing? Any questions on that setting? Just want you to really understand the modification of a surface to understand calculation of its number line sequence. Gets more complicated, doesn't it? Trying to understand the line settings, really understand how it gets in your direct location of center. So it's really understand how to submerse. Now, submerse line calculation, line interference, constant locations. You guys are out of your connection to your subtronic settings. It's position 144, it's a location system. Stargate line setting, line interference, and set location system. This is where you are in track communications. You're in the stargates. Now, your track lines and high center interference is changing direct location of signals and set line conditions of travels. UFO line indicates its position locations. Center line calculation travels lines operates its line direct line condition high setting. Now, you take the one line center line interference, one lines, four line travel, in position of four line travel. You look really, really close, you can see the dimensional sail. So you understand how all this works, right? If you get into a connections to a modulation, a module, or anything through mode, you have to truly understand how to calculate and modify the sail of its direction that it's going through its windbreak to set location setting in direct signals. Into 144 as set lines as stargate locations. Okay? So much new discoveries every day. Yep. Still integrating from the upgrade. I know. It's exciting, isn't it, Chris? But that's exactly how you come into the location of dimensional sail. Okay? You guys will get into that more and more. All right. So once you get in that set locations, you come into the operation surface. Okay? We set lines of calculations, right? UFO line rotation, sets line conditions center. Okay? Now the operation crisscrosses its line setting. This line gets communications into north line, set position locations all over the triangulation line condition line setting, into west line to east line communication. Now, setting line interference, remember it's laser direct line centers of 3 set locations, and position location is 6, in line communication of 9 setting. So we put the number sequence locations in laser directions, right? The information line setting, the UFO comes in and travels the line conditions through the numbers, takes the numbers and travels its line conditions high setting. It directs its signals in location. So setting that location line, setting line interference, opens all position locations of panels, a higher calculation line stream location to its setting. See it? Very powerful. Setting communication, there it is. Higher levels of command center. There's a command center right there. There it is, right there. There's the command center. Through the Stargate and a 3 set line condition setting into a UFO position. Multi-pass. Okay? So you really got to understand, we're also going to keep that line setting. We're going to travel back in line communications into relay programs. Now, the relay program location has to be set up line condition settings. So we try our communication as 6, open the moon line operation surface and set lines as center. Setting calculation line interference, we take the 3 lines, equal line condition of 3 lines, line condition center of 6. Center communication moon travels line the opposite location. Sun comes in line communication, gravitates its line communication center lines, and travel lines to Earth line that centers communication system and ground of operation system locations. There's your Earth. There's the condition of the sun, center communication of the moon, operation surface locations. Down by equation. All right. We don't need that line. That's travel location settings. Now, directing signals is really to understand how to set up a waving line conditions to its sail. Sail line setting. Okay, dimension line. Okay. Now, the dimension line opens up its signal. Line condition level low is a Stargate. That's a communication setting direction system. So that's 12 line signatures, line position of 12, center communication of 24 at set locations. Now, 24 lines, it opens up its signal, set line condition setting, and direct line system. This redirects line communications in the opposite line calculations travels at set locations. Now, that directs line signals and travel communication setting. This opens up another dimensional line wormhole at set location. That redirects line setting. That travels its communication line interference, travel communication line in the panel, and line communication travel and direction of time sequence locations. Now, line communication line interference, we take the 24 line center locations of 48 window line center locations, 72 lines in position of 144. Line calculation line in position of travel communication, center communication bracket lines, 1/4, 4/pi set locations. Down by equation. Okay. Now, we all have to understand how to really travel through mechanism location of space-line anomalies. Setting direct signals is really understand how to set communication, right? You're going to be surfacing more through a sail communication. Okay. Now, you have to really understand how to use it through the north winds because you're coming in Gaussian lines, east, west, and south. Okay, so that's an indicator up, that's an indicator down, set lines and indicators in the center position to its operation. Setting calculation line interference and diamond coral line shift its position, location, and directions. Now that direct line center line condition system opens up a new clock line setting. All right, but you need a dimensional sail to windbreak the center. You have to windbreak the center so you can open up another galaxy realm and set location. So in that communication line setting, it sets line communication higher levels of travels in set location setting, direct signal. Setting direct signal comes into line condition across line stream in set locations. Directing line calculation setting, the sail comes in this position locations in the ground line. See? Setting 0 operation to a set location. Right? Down by equation. Right? So we really have to understand how to set line communications to its dimensional sail. Okay, you get that in anywhere in space anomaly. You really have to understand the wind factors, the wind breaks. You have to understand how to really control the actual boat. It has a wind sector, wind line setting, electrical line center lines, and laser line communication in position locations in the opposite line calculation setting, electrical lights, electrical panel lines, and electrical fusion line communication into its water containment location setting. That's what's in water. Now, once you have the dimensional sail, then you understand the calculations of travel and set location setting. Setting communications. So it can go this way, it can go this way, it can go this way, it can go this way in set locations, right? Remember, you're working with galaxies, wind sectors and calculation lines, wind tunnels, operation to undertow. Okay? So you really have to understand how to use the wind breaks and wind factors. This is where it comes into higher calculation line setting, because your travel line communication is going to be 1, 0 in set location setting. So 1 line, strip line communication, 2 operation surface is location setting. That direct line signals graph line center line interference into its dimensional sail in set location system. Center communication, see what that is? The sun and the moon in set location. Travels line setting and line conditions, water containment in set line condition system, and set line division. That's how it comes a moonbeam light bounces off the water communication. But you need a dimensional sail. Changing the dimensional sail sets communication electrical line settings into 3 panels operation locations. It operates its line setting line interference and position location high setting interference. Travel communication line position locations high center and the signal locations operation system. Done by equation, right? So we all have to learn how to set a communication line setting location of dimensional sail to a star gate, to a star portal, to a star dimension line setting. This opens up signal panels, especially if you come into integration location or 12-dimensional line of your higher self. The atmosphere location changes positions, but the connections of its sail has to recognize the surface of where you are through travel. So you're using dimensional sails and set lines of all calculation line communication setting in all direct signal locations, atmosphere, hemispheres, biohemisphere, radiosphere, hydrosphere, or any calculation set position. Because what are you surfacing through? The moon and the sun of operation. Multi-pass. That's why you see communication line setting. So the actual line communication is dimensional sail, setting communication of the moon in position of the sun, in position of the moon, in position of the sun, right? So the dimensional lines, cross lines, streamlines, sun comes in, position location, opens on cycle, high calculation. Rest of the time sequence, moonline operation, surface, downshifts its cross line, stream, in set locations. Comes into line calculations to infinity 8 in set line communication. Done by equation, right? So understanding how to merge, understanding how to coordinate, understanding the code, understanding the activation, understanding the stream, understanding the sail, understanding the geometric operation line connection is all levels of provision. Okay, that's why you see the communication of the moon like that. That's a dimensional sail. Okay, light over dark, dark over light, shadows in, shadows out, shadows up, shadows down, northwest, south, and east, geometric operation line, center line, and position, location, division. In communication, you guys are now coming in line setting. You got 50% phenomena. That's mind over matter. Levitation line setting line interference. You're coming into the birth communication of a dimensional sail that needs to understand the correlation line setting where the sun comes in position location of its operation to its own geometric operational line setting of its dimensional location of its division that center aligns its communication to its moon of operation to its projection. Done by equation. All right. Very powerful set of applications. All right. Because that's how you come into all communications to center communication line settings of infinity cycle of karma location. Okay? We're done. It's all done. It's all set. Way to go, class. Woo! Now you understand the process of what that is in set locations, right? Because it's all centering its line setting high positions. Right? So, getting to that line setting line interference comes in all position location of track lines. This is where it gets really interesting in set location system. All right? All right. Fantastic, guys. Take it easy. Adios.